You mentioned to me that you're having some challenges in when it comes to service. Would you be open to expanding on that a bit more?
Sure. So, as you know, we and Ariel were working together for several years, and we've kind of put a pause on that specific work under the Engaged Ecology moniker for now. We're all exploring different things and integrating new wisdom into our lives. And since that time, I've done some personal nature connection programs with kids in the Frederick area. And right now, and that's also shifted, and a lot's shifted actually around my 28th birthday. And now I'm doing something I've wanted to do for a long time, which has been work with my father, Hank Shofer. Shout out to him. And yeah, so my family has a furniture business that's been in my family for 107 years. And during the pandemic, it now just shut down being a furniture business. But there's still some real estate involved in that business, and that's something that I'm interested in learning about, how to leverage that so I can further my mission of nature connection and just helping people thrive and heal trauma and lots of other juicy stuff. But yeah, I find myself in this space where part of the place where my path is taking me to do my service is calling me to, I guess, step more into my financial power. As we both know, unfortunately, in this culture, nature connection work is pretty undervalued. Even just nature itself is pretty undervalued, even though a lot of people like to look at nature. There's less, it's been more commodified, and people don't honor like the inherent value of, well, one, just how beautiful it is, but also just that we need the trees to survive. We need the ecosystem to be intact, to be healthy and thriving, or even existent as humans. So, and that's something that I've always, had a hard time with. And also just a lot of working with you actually is just really driven home to me how important it is to offer work that values your time, and you're actually doing a disservice to the work itself by just accepting a small amount of money for the work. And it's really, and in practicality, it's just unsustainable. It's not regenerative. It's not practicing what we preach of. We want to do work that's creating systems and expanding and be able to offer more and be able to impact and reach more people. And so the work with my dad with the real estate, coupled with I'm also exploring a few different trainings. One of them is a program with an organization called Medicinal Mindfulness, and they're based in Boulder, Colorado. And they're one of the first organizations in the country to offer cannabis in a ceremonial setting in a legal way. And based on my experience earlier with the bees, and that's continued to be such a profound teacher and mentor for me, and something that I've had a lot of resistance myself to wanting to share with other people, because just the stigma around cannabis and how it's illegal still in a lot of places. And just there's a view that it's used to kind of sedate yourself or distract yourself, or not. It's not really used by most people, and that's been my experience, is that most people do use it to just get stoned, to get high, to sedate themselves, to escape, to distract themselves. And I've experienced that if you set intentions and put a more stronger container and context around it, whether that's a ceremony or you're just sitting down and just really being more mindful and intentional with it, that there's a lot of different other experiences that can come forth. One of them is healing trauma, which is, I feel like, so necessary for anyone to be doing their personal mission work, is removing those blockages, those woundings that are preventing them from sharing their gifts. And then also just with the connection piece, I really feel there's just this visceral difference where when you're out in the forest with your own cannabis or plant medicine, you can have an experience where you just visually understand the connection. It's not this intellectual thing. And I believe you can do that without cannabis medicine as well. But I feel for a lot of people, especially people that are coming from a more disconnected space, that it can really help accelerate that process and even teach them things where when they're not using the cannabis plant that they can integrate into their lives. And that's my goal with the medicine, is that it's a teacher. It's ideally something that's not taking you away from your life. It's something that's helping you enhance your life. And that the integration piece is essential.
Yeah, that's great. I've always known you to be a very moderate cannabis user and overall clear-headed, sober person. And for me, that's always been something I've valued in you. You're kind of not cautious, but more respectful relationship you have with substances is something I've appreciated about in you, especially as I've thought through and rebalanced my own relationship with substances, cutting alcohol out before I met you of my life and reducing caffeine and really living a pretty sober lifestyle. I'm not someone who's working with cannabis, but I just support people reclaiming different medicines which have been demonized or criminalized unfairly, unjustly, and hurt so many people. So I think it is important work, and I do hope to feature other guests on the podcast in the future that are going to talk about using medicine and plant medicine as a healing tool in balance, along with therapy and mentorship and other tools. So it's not a distraction. It's not a numbing out, but it is going to meet the need of healing that's so present in this world. And I want to reflect back that it sounds to me like you're shifting more overtly your work in the future towards a healing intention. And I think there is more known need. We talked in our business about what do people need. We believe we knew what people needed. They need, when we say we need gardens, we need to get outside. We need to know the plants around us. Not everyone knew they needed that and was willing to pay for that. That was a big challenge that you were mentioning before around running a Nature Connection business that was doing programs, that was building gardens, taking people outside. And I love that you are thinking creatively around, well, people do know they need healing. They do know they need trauma therapy and other kinds of that. And so is that part of when you talk about your new strategy in the service garden, is that part of, are you seeing there being a solution within that? Is the real estate the solution of doing a side hustle, or do you hope it's going to be are you building towards a mentorship cannabis healing business, or how is that looking for you right now?
Yeah, I guess how real estate plays into it is, one, there's a big no need financially for real estate, as everyone's aware. And there's definitely a lot of shadows and also positive things. And I feel like there's a lot of room for growth and healing even in that space. And I guess why I see it as essential is, well, one, just for the capital backing and funding for some of these projects, but also I feel the most when people go into ceremony in an intentional way, when a lot of the biggest things they're talking about is set and setting. And so the setting piece is, where is the physical location you actually are. And in my experience, a lot of especially the work that's being done to use these medicines in legal settings, they're done in a more clinical setting. So whether that's a doctor's office or just a therapist office, where it's kind of couches or chairs, and there's some other layer that is added that adds so much magic and richness to that healing, and I just think more effectiveness really to the healing experience when you're in a wild or semi-wild place, where you're at least even just outside in a safe space, whether that's just a beautiful garden or there's a big tree you're under. So being able to utilize that capital to purchase a piece of land where people can come and feel safe and utilize these medicines in a legal and safe way and get that healing and connection that we all deserve. It's
a beautiful intention for your real estate too. And so often I've experienced real estate is enclosing wealth and keeping people off the land or taking the land. I really admire when people who have access to capital and land can turn it into places of healing and sharing. So yeah, I'd really just support that intention in your real estate work. And I think it is very practical to have multiple income streams and multiple ways of supporting ourselves in this world, especially those of us who are doing transformational or experimental work or cutting edge work in the world. So yeah, I really support you finding a beautiful balance between those different threads in your life.
Thank you.